Yes, sir. Madam Mayor, I'd be happy to respond to Mr. Fry, Mr. Vice Mayor. Yes, indeed, the city did receive a letter from CSX today. I did talk to CSX officials last week, as reported in the newspaper, and highlighted the ongoing issue of tankers next to residential homes. Told them that's not acceptable and we won't tolerate it. I know that's been a conversation over the past decade. They had made some progress, as the community understands, in building a slip line a bit outside of the neighborhood. And we all thought that they had made some progress significant enough to protect the neighborhood. But again, it appears that's not the case. I was there this morning. 17 tankers are at the site as of this afternoon. Again, he did receive a letter today. This is in light of Mr. Randy Marcus's inability to be here with us. So this is in place of that. Let me read it to you. Again, dated today, February 23rd, Fredericksburg City Council members. CSX strives to be a good neighbor in the communities where we operate, and we understand the Mayfield community's concern regarding tank cars in the Fredericksburg yard. I apologize for being unable to be with you this evening, so I appreciate the opportunity to share some information, offer next steps, and I'm glad to set up a meeting with you. CSX has not made any recent changes in operations in the Fredericksburg yard and has served local customers in a similar manner for years. The recent increased volume of tank cars is attributable to the seasonal nature of the local customers' business, and they are there temporarily. One of our long-haul mainline trains drops off block cars. These cars are picked up by a local train, which operates 6 days a week and is the first train available to deliver cars to local customers. The local train brings back cars from customers to Fredericksburg, which are picked up by another long-haul mainline train. Tank cars are not being stored in the Fredericksburg yard. This is part of a daily delivery process. As common carrier, CSX is required by federal law to transport all products for our customers, and we work diligently to meet and exceed all government laws and regulations related to the safe and efficient handling of these products. If you would like, I can arrange to have CSX officials meet with the city and/or city council members and community representatives in the near future to discuss any additional concerns regarding our operations in the Fredericksburg yard. During my 5 years at CSX, we have worked hard to address community concerns, including idling trains in yard, work on wide track behind Canterbury Road, and repairing Charles Street overpass. We are sincere in our efforts to be a good neighbor in the Fredericksburg and in Mayfield community. Sincerely, Randy J. Marcus. I have already taken him up on his offer, and we certainly do want him to come and be with our community. So I'll let you know when that is arranged. Mr. Fry, I'm happy to answer any other questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Baruti. And for for public record, you and I and someone from traffic in the city, have been meeting quarterly. So I want the public to know that, Mr. Baruti. And I can't see everybody on my screen, so but I want the public to know we have been having quarterly meetings with Mr. Marcus, over the last couple of years, and this is just kind of coming in out of nowhere because everything was okay for a good couple of years.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I've read what Councilor Fry is going to put forward, and I don't have an issue with it. This has obviously been an issue that's gone on for a long, long time. But I would just suggest that anything we pass also be put on a letter and sent on to Congressman Whitman's office. The 500-pound gorilla in the room is the Federal Railroad Administration, because they make all the rules and regulations with regards to the rails and what you can and cannot do, which was kind of alluded to in the letter. And it would not be a bad idea if we can kind of pass our concerns on to the Federal Rail Administration through Congressman Whitman's office. I think that would actually be a worthwhile effort to really put some light and put a little weight behind this resolution. And I thank Vice Mayor Fry for bringing it forward.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Fry, you're muted.
No, I was giving Mr. Kelly a thumbs up.
Oh, okay. Ms. Devine.
Sorry, I thought Dr. Duffy had his hand up. So, yeah, no, I'm totally in support of this. It just seems, to say that nothing has changed doesn't seem to really be what the case. Obviously, if it was, after building the new line and everything, it seems like something obviously has changed, that there's that many tanker cars sitting there. So I'm fully in support of this. None of us in the city, Mayfield residents are closest to this area, but it affects everybody in the city. And I really do want to make sure that people understand that and support, some action that helps, this situation. So thank you, Mr. Baruti, for that contact and reading that letter. And thank you, Mr. Fry, for keeping on top of it as well.
All right. Dr. Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone who's working on this. It's unacceptable, and we need support and help in Washington. And, as if something could happen in Mayfield and it doesn't affect us anywhere in the city. It's a city problem. It's not a neighborhood problem. And we all have to support the effort to fix this. And obviously, if there's leakage of things on a railroad running through the city, it's going to affect everyone. But I do feel especially concerned about those folks who live within yards of this situation. So I am sensitive to that. And it just, it's unacceptable. We have to find a way to get this fixed for good and not feel like, oh, we'll take care of it for a matter of a few months and we won't have a problem. So I'm totally supportive of pushing hard on this and trying to get something in place that will fix this problem once and for all. Thank you.
Well, we will all remember, and Vice Mayor Fry, I think it was before you were on council, when we had Chief Allen and the fire out there, we were, checking out the circumstances, trying to be prepared for anything that might happen and assessing the level of risk, all those good things. And we, over the years, like you said, it got better for a while, but something is definitely different now. Vice Mayor Fry, this resolution was sent to council today. It is not in the council package for purposes of the those listening to the meeting. Do you all object if I read it so that people know what we're voting on?
That's fine, Mayor Greenlaw, because this, like I said, this is just happening as we're going. So
right. So the resolution you're proposing states, it's not long, that the city of Fredericksburg has been served by passenger and freight traffic on rail lines owned and operated by CSX or its predecessors for many years. CSX also maintains a rail yard in the Mayfield neighborhood of the city. The city has endeavored to be a good partner to CSX whenever issues arise or associated with the presence of rail lines and operations in the city. The storage of rail tanker cars with hazardous and flammable contents for unspecified periods of time in close proximity to homes on Railroad Avenue has been an issue of serious concern to the city and the residents of the Mayfield neighborhood in recent years. In fact, it was Reverend Davies' wife, Mrs. Janice Davies, who really brought the issue and fought the issue early on. Much of the last decade was spent advancing persistent demands by the city that this potentially hazardous situation be addressed by CSX. With the involvement and support of the Commonwealth of Virginia, CSX finally constructed a storage rail spur at a further distance from homes. However, the practice of storing tankers, cars on the main line along Railroad Avenue with unknown contents and for unspecified periods of time has resumed. Therefore, the City Council hereby resolves that it restates and confirms its position that the practice of parking tanker rail cars with hazardous contents and for unknown duration in the vicinity of the Railroad Avenue residential area creates serious and legitimate safety concerns for nearby residents, the residents of the larger Mayfield neighborhood, and the city as a whole. The council thus confirms its previous strong opposition to this practice, and the council demands that CSX immediately discontinue prolonged storage of all tanker cars with hazardous materials along Railroad Avenue, and ask that they come to detail their plan to the community near term. In other words, come talk to us and tell us what you're going to do. So that's the resolution we are considering. Yeah, Vice Mayor Fry.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. I want to make a comment, and then then I'm going to make a motion. And my comment is, I mean, on council, I know and I'm not trying to make light of anything. We quote a lot of things sometimes in poems and literature and all kinds of stuff, but I'm gonna make a quote tonight, and I'm going to Michael Jackson on this one. And there's a song that says, "All I want to say is they don't really care about us," and that's how I feel about this situation. So that's my quote for the night, because it's crazy. I can't think of anything else, because it's like you're crying out and saying, "Hey, get this out of here," and it absolutely makes no sense. So that's my quote for the night, Mayor Greenlaw. Now, if you don't mind, I will read the motion, and motion to approve objecting to storage and rail tanker cars with hazardous materials in the city of Fredericksburg, and demand that CSX discontinue the practice now.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Kelly?
Just a thought, in addition to Whitman and the feds, could we send a copy to the VRE? Because obviously anything that affects the rails, now that we have Spotsylvania, everybody else running on the rails, is an issue to them also, with potential issues on the rails. So the more the merrier. But again, ultimately it's going to be the feds who would be the biggest, because they make the rules. And we went through this once before and talked about storing them farther back on the track. And you remember what the Fed said: no, we don't want tanker trucks sitting where they can't be seen, heard, or protected. Homeland security issues and all that stuff that plays into this. So they need to be at this table for these discussions. They really do.
And
All right, Mr.
Madam
Grant.
Mayor, thank you. To echo Mr. Kelly's more the merrier, really to piggyback on, why stop at the House? Why not go to our senators as well? Senators Warner and Kane. It's just spread this as far and wide as we can, because this problem has to get addressed, and it has to get addressed now.
Doesn't hurt. Does not hurt one bit. All right, any further comment? Motion's been made and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilor Graham,
Yes.
Councilor Duffy,
Yes.
Councilor Devine,
Yes, I don't know if you can hear the train going by, but I sure can, so it seems fitting.
Councilor Kelly,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fry,
Yes.
Mayor Greenlaw.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor Fry and Mr. Baruti. Mr. Baruti has his hand up. Mhm.
Madam Mayor, just very quickly, I also want the council and community to understand that I have asked Chief Jones to have a fire marshal on site daily. So he'll be there daily to inspect and to count tanker cars. And we'll do that for now and into the future as long as needed, to make sure we're on top of the issues regularly. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Mr. Graham?
Just a quick thought also with counting the tanker cars. Also, if they talk about tanker cars being taken and brought, differently every single day, make sure that we find a way to identify, maybe, photograph, to make sure we know that if they are being taken, brought back, or if they are actually being left, just some sort of, a way to identify and to ensure that they are doing what they apparently said that they were doing in the letter.
Thank you.